Well, God forbid, but if you find yourself injured due to a motor vehicle accident, how do you go about getting compensation for your injuries? Brent McQuestion is an associate lawyer at Morris Lawyers and is here to provide some answers. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
It is a long road with many steps. The first step, and of course it's not compulsory, but well advised to get a lawyer.
It's always important to consult a lawyer, particularly in Ontario. When a person is involved in a motor vehicle accident, it can be a very challenging process through the legal system.
You know, it's case by case, but ballpark, to getting to the award stage, how long?
Well, I mean, each case is specific, but on average 4 to 5 years. And with respect to being able to pursue compensation for your injuries, a plaintiff has to clearly demonstrate that their injuries pass the threshold.
Right, that's the threshold injury test. So there's 3 components. You have to meet one of those 3.
Correct.
Criteria.
And so the 3 criteria, the first is death.
Yeah, that's permanent.
That's permanent. The second is the serious and permanent disfigurement. And the third category is the serious and permanent impairment of an important function from a psychological, physical, or mental basis.
Obviously, this requires a lot of documentation.
It does, and it requires a physician to opine on each element of that test.
Before we even get to that stage of the threshold injury test, what steps are required after they speak with you?
Well, when they speak, the important part is to mitigate your damages. So seek medical treatment, follow reasonable recommendations, and do your best to recover. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't recover, and that's where the compensation is important to return you back to the place or closest that you can be before the accident.
Now, there's 2 components here. There's the insurance coverage, and then there's actually going after the other party. Now, with insurance coverage, the numbers have dropped significantly as far as coverage.
They have. And so what the government has done is taken a lot of the mandatory provisions of insurance policies and moved them into the optional side. So it's important for people to look at their insurance policy and look at their optional benefits in order to close the gap. And so that's with respect to your own insurance company. In terms of the at-fault driver, so when there's circumstances where you can sue the at-fault driver, with respect to the threshold, in addition to that injury threshold test, so even if you're successful before a jury, a defendant can ask the judge to determine whether your injuries meet that threshold. Now, if you're successful in that regard, then there's a secondary threshold, a monetary threshold.
And that's gone up significantly.
That has gone up significantly. So in 1990, the threshold was $15,000. This year, it's over $126,000.
Wow.
So if your injuries, if the jury award surpasses $126,000, there's no deductible.
Okay. Now, the deductible has gone up as well. What's that at?
The deductible is approximately $38,000. So if a jury comes back and says, you know, your award should be $100,000 for pain and suffering damages, then right off the bat, there's a $38,000 reduction from that 100.
Unless it exceeds that aforementioned threshold.
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, this is a long road to get to, and getting to that stage, the jury can award the damages, but again, this is subjective down to the judge.
It is, and the juries are not allowed to know of these thresholds. So they're making their awards within a vacuum.
Right.
And then a judge after the fact then looks at the facts and makes its independent determination.
Well, again, there's lots to navigate through this, and thanks for the primer, but we're going to link up your website as well, and if this is of if there's viewers that need more on this, they can go to chch.com and we'll hook them up with you.
Okay.
All right, Brent McQuestion from Morris Lawyers. Thanks so much.